rest of it and share my screen. And I'm going to talk about the danger hand and the rule of seven, perhaps looking at some more examples. Some of these you might already be familiar with, and I'm going to go on and look at some slightly more tricky examples. And just to start at the beginning, though, we're going to talk about the rule of seven. The rule of seven is a guideline which is a number of times to duck when the opponents lead a suit against you. It's pretty much only used in no trump when you have a single stopper, but you expect to lose the lead at least once. So what you do is you look at how many cards you have in that suit between yourself and dummy, take that away from seven, and that's a guideline of how many times to duck. And if you're watching this video on YouTube later on, you can send me an email to that address at the bottom of the screen, and I'll add you to these weekly talks. So we're going to look at some simple examples and then look at some that are a little bit more challenging. And let's start off with this one, where you open one no trump. Here we're bidding weak no trump, 12 to 14 points. And your partner takes you to three no trump. And the dummy comes down, and you can see that we're a little bit vulnerable in hearts. We have one heart stopper, but apart from that, we've got two top tricks in spades, three or four top tricks in clubs, depending on how they divide. And we've got to set up the diamonds to make our contract. The danger on this hand is that when we play the diamonds, someone will get in with the ace of diamonds, and if they've already knocked out the ace of hearts, they may be able to run a lot of heart tricks. So this is a time that you might well use the rule of seven. What you do is you take the number of cards you have in that suit, two in dummy, two hearts, and three in your own hand. Take that away from seven, and that comes to two, which suggests you duck twice if you can. So that's what we're going to do on this hand. We'll let them win the first trick. We'll let them win the second trick. And of course, we have to win the third trick. We'll discard a spade. And now we're going to play the diamonds. And I'll just bring up the four hands at this point. And what we're hoping for is some kind of distribution like this, where East has got the ace of diamonds, but because we ducked two rounds of hearts earlier on, they've got no more hearts. West is sitting there with two good hearts, but has no way of getting there. So they'll get in with their ace of diamonds, but East cannot get to West's hand. So whatever he plays, we can win that. And now we've established our diamonds. We can make those diamonds, and we'll make at least three clubs. In fact, the clubs divide evenly, and the nine of clubs is another trick. So that's what we were hoping for, some kind of distribution like that. Now, if I change the hand slightly and put the ace of diamonds in with the West hand, then there's no way we can make this contract. We'll play it as we did before. We'll duck two rounds, but when we play the first diamond, West gets in, and of course they're able to cash two hearts now and defeat us. Whatever after that, we'll take the rest, but we'll go down. So it gives you a chance to make the contract here if you duck twice. If you didn't duck at all, then we'd probably always be defeated on this distribution, because if we win the first trick and play a diamond, whoever's wins the ace of diamonds will have hearts to continue with. The other time you'll make this will be, of course, if they don't lead a heart, or if the hearts divide 4-4. If there are just here they're 5 and 3, 5 in the west hand, 3 in the east hand. If they were 4-4, we would make it as well. But we give ourselves that extra chance by ducking twice here using the rule of seven. Let's have a look at another one. Here again, we're in three no trump, and the opponents lead a heart, and immediately we can see we're possibly vulnerable in hearts. Um, and we have to have a little think about how we're going to play the suit, in particular the diamonds, because we have a finessing situation in diamonds. But before we get on to that, I'd like you to answer the first poll of the evening, which is based on the play here and the fact that West has led the King of Hearts. Which opponent do you think is more dangerous? Is it West, is it East, or can't you tell? And that's the first poll of the evening. Which is the dangerous opponent, do you think? Let's have a look at the responses. And most of you have gone for West here, with a smaller number going for East or saying they can't tell. And yes, it's probably West here. West normally against no trump, the normal lead is to, lead your longest suit, and you lead the top of an honor if you have a sequence. So West almost certainly has got a sequence of honors headed by the king. And if they have a 5 card or longer suit, then they are definitely more dangerous. I mean, you could occasionally have a situation where East has got a longer heart suit, but it's probably West. And that means that West is the dangerous opponent, and we're going to try to prevent West gaining the lead. The suit we're worried about here is diamonds, and we may lose to the Queen of Diamonds, but we don't want to let West win if they have the Queen of Diamonds. So we're going to do 2 things here. We're going to start off with the rule of 7 and duck twice, just as we did before. And then we're going to play the diamonds. You could cash the clubs first if you like, but at some point we're going to play the diamonds in such a way to prevent West, the more dangerous opponent, from gaining the lead. So you might start off maybe with the King of Diamonds and then play a low diamond. And unless West plays the Queen, we're going to play the 10, finessing the 10 of diamonds. If you're lucky, it wins the trick. And now if you're counting, you'll know there's just 1 diamond outstanding, so we can draw it with the ace and take our last diamond, again take our spade tricks, and at the end we'll be able to take the club tricks as well. So we finessed there to make sure that West didn't gain the lead. Even though they had the Queen of Diamonds, we prevented them from winning that trick.
Tony,
Yeah. Hello, Humphrey.
I don't think you should leave the King of Diamonds out first. You
Okay.
need because if West has got 4 diamonds, which they might have, then you need to finesse twice.
Right. I think you're right. Yes. So we might yes, we've got some other entries. I don't know if we could do it, but by getting back to our hand, if the finesse succeeds, we'd want to repeat the finesse. But yes, you could be right. That might be a better line of play, Humphrey. So yeah, Humphrey is saying just in case West has got 4 diamonds, say, would we be able to have enough entries if we cash the King of Diamonds first? So we might have the entries with the King of Spades and the Queen of Clubs, but you could well be right there, Humphrey. On the other hand, this is exactly the same hand for North-South, but this time the Queen of Diamonds is in the East hand. We're going to play it the same way as before. Okay, ducking twice. And then when we play the diamonds, the worst that will happen is that East will win with the Queen. And because we ducked 2 rounds of hearts earlier, East has no more hearts to get over to his partner's Jack 6 over there. So here the finesse loses, but West, the dangerous opponent, can't gain the lead. And now whatever happens again, we'll now be able to cash our diamonds, our spades, and take our clubs as well. So we'll make that one as well. Okay. Let's have a look at another one. And I want to start this time with a bidding question for you. West here has opened 1 spade. North, your partner doubles. East passes. And I've got the second poll of the evening, which is what do you think South should play? South should bid on this hand. What do you think South should bid in response to North's double? Here comes that poll. Okay, let's have a look at the results. And most of you have gone for one no trump with a certain percentage, 20% passing, getting 2 hearts, and 1 person voted for something else. The person who voted for something else, if you want to tell us what it is, you can unmute yourselves and speak up. But yes, I think one no trump is the right bid there. Your partner wants you to bid your longest suit, and that's spades, but obviously doesn't want to hear about spades. You do have a spade stopper. You'd like it to be a little bit stronger, but nonetheless, you have 7 points, and you should bid something there. And this hand qualifies for one no trump. That shows 6 to 9 points with a stopper in the opponent's suit. Pass, by the way, is a terrible bid. Okay, pass will allow the opponents to play it in one spade doubled. And just imagine your partner's hand is very short in spades, and they will quite likely make one spade doubled with possibly over tricks. So never pass here. If I didn't have the ace of spades, let's say, if I didn't have a stopper in spades, I would have to bid something. And I would probably, if I had equal length in the suits, I might bid 2 clubs. But don't pass, whatever you do. Anyway, let's suppose you do bid one no trump, and your partner takes you to 3 no trump, and the opponents lead a spade. And you can see, indeed, your partner is very short in spades. But let's have a little think about it. We've got 1 spade to make, 2 hearts, 2 diamonds, and at least 2 clubs. What we want to do here is play the clubs, and we want to play the clubs in such a way that West cannot gain the lead. So we have to do, again, 2 things here. We want to duck here. And again, if we use the rule of 7, it suggests that you duck twice. We've got 5 clubs between us. So let's first of all duck twice. Let's discard, well, not a club. We're hoping to make those clubs. Duck twice and win the 3rd one. And now we discover, actually, we know absolutely, because East has discarded, that West has got all the remaining spades. So what we want to do is try and play this hand in such a way that West cannot gain the lead. Because West, if they gain the lead, they've got spades they'll be able to cash. Whereas we know East has no more spades. So what we might do again is something like this. Lead a low club. And what we're going to do is, if West were to play the queen or the jack, we'd beat it with the ace. But if they play low, we're going to beat it with something in dummy. And I'll just bring up the 4 hands at this point, and you can see what's going on here. And if I click on the GIB button, it's actually saying that to make this contract, I have to play the 10 or the 8 here. In other words, I must beat the 7, but I save the ace so that I can beat the queen later on. And of course, you mustn't play a low club here, because East could let their partner win the 7, and then they can rattle off the last 3 spades. So you play the 10 or the 8 there. That loses. You expect that's going to lose to East, but East cannot get to their partner's spade. So whatever they play here will win the lead. And now we'll play a club back to the king here. And now there's just 1 club left, so we can draw it with the ace and take our last 2 clubs and our good diamond. So played that way, we'll make our 9 tricks there. Okay. It wasn't guaranteed that we'd be able to make it on, depending on the layout. For example, if West had had the Queen and the Jack of clubs, then we might not have been able to prevent them gaining the lead with one of those honors. But it gives you a chance by leading low, and you're planning to beat whatever West played. If they played the Queen, of course, you'd beat it with the ace and hope that they can't get in again with another high card there. Any comments or questions on that? I want to turn to the last two hands, and these are based on, I sent out a quiz at the weekend with one of these hands in it, and this is a little bit more challenging. Again, you're in 3 no trump. Again, they lead a heart, and again, you're somewhat vulnerable in hearts, except you have the Jack of hearts as well as the ace here. So we need to stop and think how we're going to make our 9 tricks here. What are our top tricks? We've got 1 in spades, 1 in hearts, 1 in diamonds, the ace, and we've got 4 top tricks in clubs. So we've got 7 top tricks, and obviously the best chance for more is in diamonds. Now, there's a risk that when we play the diamonds, that the opponents will get in with the king of diamonds, and we are vulnerable in hearts. But what you need to think about here is when we play the diamonds, which is the opponent that might gain the lead with the king of diamonds? I'm going to tell you when we play the diamonds, we're going to finesse. We're going to maybe lead the queen of diamonds and see if that wins. So this next poll has got 2 parts to it. Which is the opponent here that might gain the lead with the king of diamonds if they have it? And therefore, what should South play at trick 1? Let's suppose you play the 2, East plays the queen. Should you now play the ace or should you play low here? So think about where you might lose if the king of diamonds is in the wrong hand. And the second part is what you're going to play now, the ace, or you're going to play low. Which defender could gain the lead with the king of diamonds? Have a look at the results. And most of you have said West, 74%, with others saying East and others saying can't tell. And then it's divided 60-40 in favor of playing the ace rather than playing low. So let's think about this. The first part is when we play the diamonds, we're going to finesse. We're going to maybe lead the queen of diamonds, and we can prevent East from gaining the lead if we play the queen of diamonds and letting it ride. But we can't prevent West from gaining the lead. If they have the king of diamonds, unless it's a singleton, we can't prevent them winning a trick with that. So the answer is that if thinking ahead, when we come to play the diamonds, it may be that West gains the lead if they have the king of diamonds. And if they do, if that is the situation, if that bad thing turns out to be the case, we are then going to be all right in hearts because we, as well as the ace, we have the jack, but only if we win this trick with the ace. We win that with the ace because it means that later on, if West does have the king of diamonds and gains the lead with it, if they now play a heart, we will have a second stopper. So the possession of the ace jack 3 rather than the ace and 2 cards makes a difference here. So what we're going to do is win that trick, then maybe cross over to dummy in a club with a club perhaps, play a diamond and let it run around. And West, on this layout, I've given the king of diamonds, But can you see that if West now continues with hearts, let's bring up the four hands. If West now continues with hearts, they will be giving me another trick. Whether they play the king or a low heart will make a second trick in hearts. In fact, West does best not to play a heart. I'll just click on the GIB button, and you can see that playing a heart will give me one over trick, and it works out better if they play something else. And if they play, say, the Jack of Spades, then I have to make the decision about what to play. And I've got the key decision, which is to play the ace here. If I play low, East can win the king, and now East can shift back to a heart, which traps my Jack of Hearts in the south hand. So I can now make this contract, but I must go up with the ace and now take my other tricks. I've got my clubs to cash, and I've got the diamonds to cash. And that is my 9 tricks. After that, whatever I play, for example, if I play a spade, they can win that one, and East can play a heart, and West can take the last 2 tricks. But I'll make my 9 tricks there. But the right play there, because we were in danger of losing to the King of Diamonds if it's in the West hand, is not to duck, but to take the Ace of Hearts. Let me just change the hands a little bit. I've got the hands are just slightly different now. And again, they lead a heart, which I'm vulnerable in. I've got the Ace Jack 3, but I'm going to ask the same question as last time. When you play the diamonds, which is the defender that you cannot prevent from gaining the lead if they have the King of Diamonds? And therefore, what should you play at trick 1? Let's suppose they play the Queen, and the question this time is, the second part is, what should you play at trick 1? So think about who might have the King of Diamonds, whether you can prevent that from winning, but if it does win a trick, what then that person then plays a heart, how will you be vulnerable there? So same question as last time, and here comes that final poll. Have a look at the results. And this time, most of you have said 60% said East, but quite a lot said can't tell or West. And again, most of you have decided to play low on this one, rather 73% compared to those of you who want to play the ace. So let's go back to the hand and think about it. So when we play diamonds, we can prevent West from gaining the lead if they have the King of Diamonds. We could lead the Queen of Diamonds and let it run around. And if West has the King, we'll trap it. But we cannot prevent East from gaining the lead. So East, if they have the King of Diamonds, may gain the lead with it. And there's nothing we can do to prevent that unless it happens to be a singleton, which doesn't seem that likely. So that means that we have to play this slightly differently to the first time, because when we play the diamonds here, if East gains the lead, if we play it as we did before by taking the ace, they'll be in a position to trap our Jack of Hearts. So instead, we have to assume that West is the more dangerous opponent, that West has probably got the long heart suit, and this time we should use the rule of 7 to duck twice. So we're ducking twice here. We win that third one, of course. And now we're going to finesse in diamonds, and we're finessing in such a way, of course, that West cannot gain the lead, but East could gain the lead if they have the King. And if it's a layout something like this, and we leave the Queen and they take their King, now we're still going to be okay because East has got no more hearts. West has got 2 good hearts there, but East may not be able to get to their partner. And if they switch to a spade here, then I hope you can see, I'll just click on the GIB button. I hope you can see that the right play here is to play the ace here. If you play low, hoping to make a trick with the queen, West can win the king and cash 2 hearts. So again, you can just make your contract here if you go up with the ace, and now you can cash your good tricks in the minor suits. So again, played that way, you should be able to make, I think, 9 tricks there. You'll lose the last one. So that was those 2 examples were slightly tricky. It's basically the presence of the ace jack gives you some options about how you play the heart suit, and whether it's right to duck or whether it's right to win that first heart with the ace. Anyone have any comments or questions on that? Okay, so we'll end the talk there. We've got the game coming up in 14 minutes. I'll stop sharing my screen. And if any of you need a partner, just join the game, call me over, and I will come and find a partner for you. All right. So thank you all very much. Good evening to you all.
Thank you. Bye.
Enjoy the bridge.
Thank you.
And I'll see you all later. Bye.